British, Soviet, or French troops. They only really fought American ones, American and Chinese troops, as they were in the War of the Pacific and the War of Asia. Italy, and they didn't really want to join the Axis, but Mussolini felt as if they got cheated with what they were supposed to get at the end of World War I.
Holy shit. I don't know his facts.
Smart boy, that's all.
I'll cut it out. Anyway, Ally 1 is the United States of fucking America. They are led by Teddy Roosevelt at the beginning of the war and Harry Truman by the end. Next, we have the Soviet Union, led by Joseph Stalin. He was actually pretty stupid at the beginning of the war, and by the end of the war, he did pretty alright. Great Britain, they were led by Winston Churchill for most of the war. They did have a leader at the beginning, but he really didn't do much. He did one bombing over Berlin, and then he resigned after the defeat in France, I'm pretty sure. I forget his name, but he wasn't really that important to the war. Ally 4 is France. This was the first country to be taken over by Germany, and they got wrecked, and their leader was Albert Francis Lieberman. Because France got destroyed, they had the French resistance. There are a few military officials that survived, along with a few civilians that wore this cross on their side. Basically, the patches the Nazis had, except it wasn't not a Nazi symbol, it was that cross. So once again, how it started. Don't blame me for saying name slides. This is more facts, though. So, the Nazis, as I said before, they invaded multiple nations. There was actually a meeting with the leaders of Britain and France, along with the leaders of Germany and Italy. And this meeting was to give Hitler a part, the border of what they believed to be German territory of the Czech Republic. Now, the Czech Republic had nothing to say to this meeting, because they weren't there. They weren't even invited to this. So they just said, they literally didn't know this was happening. The Nazis just rolled in one day, and instead of taking that one little sliver, they took over the whole country. Because he's Hitler, and he lies to people, and kills people. He's just a bad person overall. As I said before, Britain and France were making deals to avoid war, but if they attacked Poland, it was war. So on September 1st, 1939, Germany said, "Bring it on," as Hitler and his troops invaded Poland. Britain and France declared war, and World War II was officially on, and this would go on to be a war to remember. Many other nations declared war on each other, such as Italy and small allied nations, along with Japan on China and Taiwan. Now, this is America and the war effort before doing all the work, really. Well known in the war, the U.S. would supply food and weapons to the Allies in Europe, so that way they could shoot and not starve. Japan was their ally before the war, since they were allies in World War I, but since they were on Hitler's side, they sort of said, "Nah, you don't get any more oil, so we're not going to give you any." But there's one problem. The Germans were trying to make sure that the Allies would starve and run out of ammunition. So they were sinking merchant ships, British, American, didn't matter what country you were from. If you were an allied country, you were gone. Germans would sink the shipping boats with these things called a U-boat. They were also used in World War I, and a famous ship sank by one of these things is called the Lusitania. I'll do that on a World War I one, so you know more about that. So the U.S. actually made this boat right here. This, my friends, is a Black Cat. This, as you can see, it has two rudders, so it can turn into a plane. but also its wheels for the landing gear. The cool thing about this, though, it is also a boat. If you shot all the shafts with all the weapons in it, like the little minigun down here, that you can drop down and just shoot right down, like rain fire. If you shut that, you seal it, you shot all this stuff in the bottom. It's very easy. Well, not easy if you're getting shot at, but you can put this thing in the water. All of a sudden, it's a boat. And that was very dangerous during the Pacific fight with Japan and with Germany. They also, with many other of the allied nations, cracked the U-boats encryption code. So now they could see them on radar and they could flank them, sink them. They were less of a threat. This made Germany upset, as we know. The Soviets and the Germans actually made an alliance. They attacked Poland together as friends. But on July 22nd, 1941, it turned out the Germans were using the Soviets to gain land, to get closer to them, so they could enter Russia on July 2nd, 1941. And they were really beating them. They were showing no mercy. They were beating them bad. They were making staggering process. I mean, Russia looked like a war zone. Like, you ever seen like a war zone in a movie? Like a futuristic movie where the entire city's in flames, and you're like, how is that possible? How can that even happen? Well, that happened in Soviet Russia. It's very sad, but it happened. The U.S. was off for a nice little sleep, not supplying Japan, but supplying the Allies. Japan threw a hissy fit. So on July 7th, 1941, the Japanese Air Force attempted this surprise attack on Pearl Harbor. Many of the American ships were beaten up by the time they fought back. Once again, it was a surprise attack, what do you expect? Japan found it as a victory, even though the repair, submarine, and oil barracks were untouched or touched like a fine-tooth comb, like slightly, like a feather. The fleet would be back up again in no time, and that would hurt Japan badly. A battle you'll see soon. The Nazis invaded Soviet Russia. They were beating them bad, as I said before. Nazis were invading Russia, and they were making staggering progress. They captured 3 million. They captured multiple Soviet soldiers at each point, each battle. But the Eastern Front, there's the Western Front in Europe of trenches, and then there's the Eastern Front of trenches. The Eastern Front was a hell of a lot more brutal than the Western, apparently. Now, the Nazis were advancing towards Moscow, and I don't know if this is an actual rule because of war, because if it is, then countries should move their capital, like, deep into their country. But I think what it is once you capture the capital city, it is over. Your city has to surrender. So the Nazis were basically right outside of Moscow. They were about to take over Soviet Russia. With that, all their soldiers fighting in the east go to the west, and they push the Allies out of Europe. And then the American flag has a Nazi logo in it, same with all the other Allied flags. And next thing you know, Hitler's the leader of the world. But the one thing that saves Russia in every single war happens. Hey, Winter, this happened last time too. Like, come on, Winter. This saved Russia. It really did. It really did, because once the Russian winter hit, Nazis' tanks, their oil and gas froze, the people froze, they had no clothing. The Nazi soldiers literally asked Hitler, hey, it's freezing, we don't have any clothes, or tanks are freezing, can we dig in, please? Please? He said no. And that's the second bullet he took to the foot. The first bullet he took was declaring war on the U.S. So, there you go, Hitler has 2 in the foot. Maybe you'll get one somewhere else later. So, the Soviets were prepared for this. They pushed the Nazis back a lot. They didn't push them out, but they pushed them back enough so that when it became spring again, it would take the Nazis a while. Or maybe not. Maybe they would have kicked their ass. Again, who knows? Who knows? Maybe the Nazis actually did win. But I can tell you, never know. Never know. The Nazis eventually dug in. Well, the Nazis eventually dug in when they were being pushed back too far. I think they didn't want. I'm guessing they didn't want to be pushed completely out. America. And especially in the Pearl Harbor slide, the U.S. Navy was up and running in no time, which it was the ever so famous Battle of Midway. Now, this was a battle of off and on fanatics. There were 4 carriers on each side. The Americans sunk 3. It was a 3-on-1. The Japanese sunk 3. It was a 1v1. Then the U.S. Air Force eventually sunk that last Japanese carrier. 4 carriers were sunk for the Japanese. With it go planes, oil, and Japanese lives. Then again, with the American ones, go their planes and their lives, and their ships, and their oil. But the U.S. did tons of damage to the Navy and Air Force. 4 carriers down, about, I don't know the exact number of planes, so I'm guessing it was a ton. There were tons of planes on those carriers. The planes were about smaller back then. You could fold the wings up. You could fit more into one place than you can today. So tons of planes went down. Tons of ships went down. Unlike Pearl Harbor, though, the hurt Navy would never ever come strong again. Spring flowers bring a Soviet turn. Spring has sprung. The Nazis realized that the Soviets have fields down south. So Hitler, getting cocky, he goes for it, splitting his 2 armies in half: the 4th Panzer Army and the 6th Panzer Army. 6th goes to Stalingrad, which is actually a major Russian city, and 4th goes towards the oil. No problem for the Soviets, because when the Nazis were pushing into Moscow, they took all their factories, took a crane, put them behind Moscow, so just in case. And they made planes, tanks, guns, everything you needed in order for you to kick the crap out of somebody if you wanted. These were enough materials to push Germany, not just out of the Soviet Union, but to push them into a tiny island. Now, I just want to take a moment and say that there wasn't really horrible going on that the Nazis did. It was totally uncalled for. They did not have to do this. This is the horrible truth, guys. I am sorry. If you cannot handle this, please skip. But I'd rather you didn't. I'd rather you know what they did. So the Nazis, or Hitler, believes in natural selection. They believe that the Germans were a superior race, and Jews were at the bottom. Hitler blamed the Jews for their loss in World War I. For some reason. I don't know. He also hated communists. That's why he invaded Russia. I'll tell you my opinion on that later. I don't know why he hated them. They were the first to give up and, make them better. Doesn't matter. Right. These events were known as the Holocaust. 6 million Jewish lives were lost in these events. There were multiple death camps and concentration camps. Death camps is where you work for like a day or like a week or so, and then the Jews would get gassed. Concentration camps, you would work to the bone. They would barely feed you. If they did feed you, it was horrible food. And if they found that you could not do the work anymore, they would put you on a cattle car train and ship you right off. So death camps get gassed. They estimate 300 children lives were lost in the Holocaust. Especially young children, like 6-year-olds, were gone. They were not tall enough, they couldn't work. I think the age was like 13, if you were in teens, or like 12, I'm pretty sure. They allowed you, if you looked like you could work for a while. All they wanted was work done. Done. If the work wasn't done, you were done.
That's something that they had disclosed before the interview started?
Now, the Americans, the British, the Canadians, everybody on the Western Front. Soviet Union's on the Eastern, so they're working with that.
Yeah.
So they had to do a turning point. I like to call it, and the President of the United States called it D-Day. The plan was for Germany to be pushed back from the West as it was being joined by the Eastern Soviets. Their plan was to basically crush Germany into like a pit. The Allies planned to liberate France to push Germany out. Liberating France, pushing their army on their side. So, they thought, let's do it. They planned to land in Normandy. The weapons were ready, the planes were armed, they were cleaned, everything was spick and span loaded. Only one problem, the weather in the UK is horrible. So, they had to wait for a clear sky day so that way their plane could see everything. Don't blame them if you're invading, and this is going to be the turning point in the war, which it was, then you're going to want clear skies. Not even a cloud in sight. Just definitely a cloud in sight. It doesn't matter. Anyway, on June 6, 1944, it was a rare day. A good day in UK weather. Planes would bomb the German escape and MG points. Then, paratroopers came down to take out any Germans that they could. The Navy on the shoreline here fired multiple shells on the island. Then the troops invaded. 2 months later, 2 quick months later, France liberated, safe, its own country again. And this was the turning point of the war, as the Nazis were now being squeezed like a grape between your thumbs. It is the final countdown for Germany. The black heart of Berlin, of World War II, about to be smashed by the Allies, about to be crushed. Got the US, the UK, France, Canada, got all the Western Allies coming in from the West, got the Soviet Union coming in from the East, and you have Hitler in his bunker of his wife, just, chilling, hanging from the Allies. But his idea and dream of a powerful German Empire had failed. On April 30th, 1945, which I think may be one of the greatest days in human history, Hitler committed suicide with his wife. I actually did not notice. I should learn this in ELA. I did not know his wife committed suicide with him. I looked it up, and it was legit. His wife, they got married only a few days, not that long before this happened. They got married during the war. It took the Nazis a while to think it over, but on May 7th, 1945, Germany surrendered, and the war in Europe was over. All that was left was to save the Jews that survived the Holocaust, get them out of hiding if they were hiding, and to get the U.S. soldiers back to stateside, over to California, fuel them up with food and water and guns, go to California, get on the ship, go to the Pacific, and kick Japan's ass. Which, they couldn't for a while. Japan held the line, but we're America, so they just bashed through it, apparently. Now, the thing you should know is that Japan had cultural reasons. They would hold off the Americans, which is not easy to do, but back then Japan actually was really strong. They were an empire, remember that. This is what the Empire of Japan. I just wonder, if Japan had a choice through civilians, would they have said yes against America? That's my question. Because Germany was, I don't know why, it doesn't matter, I'll keep my country out of this. It's, with America. Anyway, the Japanese army was holding them off, along with the other allies. The Soviet Union, after this war in Europe, declared war on the Empire of Japan. So, everybody except for France and Canada, I'm pretty sure. I don't think Canada fought them. But everybody except for Canada and France had their eyes on Japan. Now, for culture reasons, Japan found it dishonorable to surrender during a battle. So, like, if there was like an inch of land left, Japanese soldier would hold on by like a limb of a branch and just use his pistol and go pew pew. And they would hold the line for as long as they could. The Americans eventually captured Okinawa. Now, they could either go into the Japanese mainland and risk losing more American lives and risk losing all their progress, or they can use the first ever atomic bomb. The Americans, Great Britain, and Canada, which was Great Britain at the time. Apparently, I don't know. I'll make a Canada history if you want. Maybe a Canadian can make it. Anyway, like, they were working together on the Manhattan Project, which was to make an atomic bomb. Now, backstory on the atomic bomb, bringing the Nazis back into this real quick. They were developing nuclear weapons. And Albert Einstein saw this. He said, "Oh no," told the Americans, and the Americans and Great Britain and Canada worked on this bomb. Now, in New Mexico, they tested it. And it was excellent, and it was ready. The Americans tried to get Japan to surrender before dropping the bomb. They wouldn't. Dishonorable. Wow. So on August 6th, 1945, the Americans dropped an atomic bomb Little Boy on Hiroshima. It was the first ever atomic bomb to be used in the history of the world. There was tons of history in this war. That's one thing people will never forget. Never forget. Japan wouldn't surrender. So on August 9th, 1945, the atomic bomb Fat Man was dropped on Nagasaki. Japan didn't want anything. They wanted any more. They surrendered. Germany had to pay and shut down the military once again. Germany, for a long, long time, was divided between the UK, US, Soviet Union, and France. World War II had 50 to 80 million deaths. 50 to 80 million lives lost. That counts Jews. 6 million of them are Jews. So if we do 80 minus 6, 8 minus 6 equals 2. So that really means 20 to 50 million were soldiers. That's what I find disgusting about this war. This war was a war to remember. That's one thing I find disgusting about it. 6 million of the 50 to 80 million were Jews. Only 20 to 50 million were soldiers. This war was the most deadliest and destructive human conflict in history. The only thing that could beat this war would literally be a full-scale nuclear war. That's how bad this was. Out of this war, 2 superpowers would emerge. A new type of war would emerge. A very, very cold one. Thank you guys so much for watching this. I hope you guys learned about World War II. I will have a World War I out, hopefully. If I don't, it's because I'm busy this summer. Summer's the best. Doesn't matter anybody else. Thank you. And please like this, because this took forever. This was a hell process of editing, finding pictures that didn't link you to a site, and pictures that were not offensive and did not have controversial statements, which were not true at all. Like when I was looking at this image, for example, the newspaper saying Hitler's death, there was one that said, "Oh, Hitler didn't really die, he fled to Argentina," which has got to be the stupidest thing I ever heard. So one more thing before I leave the video, do not listen to anybody that says anything fake about World War II. Hitler's dead, the Holocaust happened, okay? The atomic bombs, they tried to actually consult with them, okay? Just want to say that much, right? And I want us to know So if you guys think the Americans are disgusting for doing that, what do you think the Nazis would have done with it? Alright guys, just have a great day and enjoy the Memorial Day. If you're not watching this during Memorial Day, enjoy life, enjoy summer vacation, enjoy whatever time you're in. And I hope to have a World War I or history of the U.S. or a history of Canada to explain that Britain thing. History of Canada may not happen. You'll have to comment if you really want that. So thank you guys so much. Have a great day and goodbye.